Well, good morning everybody. Backyard scrapping here, and I was trying to figure out what I was going to do today, and I got on YouTube and saw that I am like 28, I think 29 away from 500. So instead of getting caught with my pants down like I usually do, I'm going to go ahead and start preparing for that 500 sub giveaway. I don't know if you guys remember a while back, I did that. It was about 50-ounce refined for Mr. C, and he actually donated 1.5 ounces of his silver for me to use to give away for the 500 sub giveaway, or part of the giveaway. And originally we had talked about it. There's a 1/2 ounce of silver in each one of these. I don't know how well you can see that. Let me see if I can get you some more light. But this was actually the powder from his refine. So I know that's kind of hard to see, but anyway, that's the silver powder. So we had 3 of those that he donated, and we were going to do a Kit Kat bar, 1/2 ounce Kit Kat bar for each one, which is this little guy right here. But my little Kit Kat mold, again, I'm going to try and get this so you guys can see it. Okay, there we are. Now let's see. Now it's showing up so you can see that this is actually, this mold is pretty much shot. I mean, it's good for junk pours or whatever, but I mean, it is really pitted up. So instead of doing that, let me pause for a second and I'll get this thing set back up. Okay, so instead of using this crappy mold that is worn out, it would actually pour some really knobbied up bars. I'm going to go ahead and use my new steel mold. Now this is actually about, it pours about 1.5 ounces, but instead of putting this stuff in the furnace, what I'm going to do is go ahead and put it, melt it with the torch so it's exactly what's in each bottle, and then we're going to pour it into this mold and see if we can't get some 1/2 ounces out of that. So that's what we're going to be doing today, and we will get right back at you when we get outside and get set up. Okay guys, we are outside. It's actually kind of a nice day for a change, but it is still cold. I've got our little steel mold that we're going to use inside our warming furnace, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that on and get it covered up so that that'll start warming up and take the initial shock off of the mold because it's cold. I don't like pouring into a cold mold. We've got our torch set up, or our melting dish set up. There's our silver. We've got our other camera set up, and hopefully, I don't know if you can see that or not, hopefully we're going to have enough oxygen left to do the 3 melts, because that's the one that it's on right there, and we got about 800 left. So like I said, hopefully we've got enough to do this. I'm going to go ahead and get set up, get this stuff in the dish, let this warm up, and then we will get back at you when we're ready to do our first pour. So we'll see you in a few. Okay guys, I have preheated our melting dish. We're going to go ahead and do our first melt. And when I get it melted, then I'll take the I'll actually take the mold out of the heater and put it over here on this block. So I'm going to go ahead and put this silver in. This is the first 1/2 ounce. One thing about this, when you're doing this, when you're heating this powder with a torch, you want to stay to the outside. I'm actually going to put some borax over it because I don't want to blow anything out. I don't really like using a lot of borax when I'm pouring bars, but when I'm doing it like this, I don't have any choice. So we are going to go ahead and get this melted. I'll get you started on that. But actually what I was saying is you want to keep to the outside as much as you can, because you don't want to put that flame directly on that silver if you can help it. I mean, you're going to have to a point, but the more flame that hits that powder directly, the more you vaporize it, which is something you don't want to do. So we're actually going to start like this and bind it all up with that borax so we don't blow anything out, and then gradually we're going to just come down on it until it all is in a little molten ball. So I will either time-lapse this or cut it till we get there, because this is going to take a few minutes to get it to this point. So okay guys, our metal is actually fluid right now. It's looking good. So I'm going to get it good and hot for a second. I'm going to shut this down. It is really ready to pour right now, but I have to get my mold out. And I really don't want this. It doesn't have to be super hot. I just want it hot enough that there's not going to be shock when it hits it. Well, this thing's going to be a bear. Our metal's still molten, so let me fire this back up, and we will go ahead and do our pour, or our first pour anyway. This is where you need a third hand when you're working with a torch. Okay, we've got a good fluid metal, so we are ready to go. I'll try and do this so you guys can see it. And that ain't gonna work. Not enough metal. So it's just not enough metal to go across the bottom of that whole mold. So I guess we are going to have to do the Kit Kat, even though it's going to be rough. Let's see how this turns out. Yeah, that's just not going to do it, guys. Just not going to do it. The only other thing I think of that I can do maybe is get this thing really cherry red. I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pour on that, but it's just not enough, not hot enough to get it to flow across the bottom. So I'm going to go get the Kit Kat mold, and I will be right back. Okay guys, we are actually ready to try this again. The metal is almost fluid. So I'm going to go ahead and get our mold out. And naturally, the second I got ready to do it again, the wind kicks up, which just pretty much kills your your flame. It was fine until right now. bad about doing this stuff outside. If that wind is blowing, it's going to mess you up. I mean, you just have to figure out a way to deal with it. But anyway, here we go again. Our metal is nice and molten. These long, slender, small pores are really a bear. So we are going to do our best to get this thing. We're going to get that metal good and hot. Did get it, but once again, I don't think I'm too happy with that. I don't think I'm going to be too happy with that. We got one little bead that blew out, so let's get a hold of that. See, and this is another problem. When you get a mold that gets pitted, to get it to release sometimes can be a real bear. We may end up having to actually just break that mold out. But I don't know, it might not be too bad now that I'm looking at it. Let's see what we got. It may clean up kind of nice. Okay, so we are going to try actually one more. So this is the Kit Kat. Not horrible, not the best pour I've ever done, but not horrible. So we're going to just leave that in there. I'm actually going to go ahead and get some more powder going. I want to put this back in the furnace. I have my other little mold out here. I'm going to see if we can't do it's actually a 20-gram mold. So this is going to be a little light, but we're going to give it a try. It's a little bit smaller than this one, so it may actually work. I'm going to go ahead and get this silver in here. Start getting it melted, and we'll be back at you in a minute. Okay, our metal is starting to pull together. And here comes the wind again. Amazing. I can't believe that. The whole time I'm sitting here, no wind. And now the metal just starts to melt, and here comes another blast of wind. Oh well, such is life. I'm going to actually try it this time in this other little mold. This is where I said the third hand can be kind of handy to have. This might actually be too much metal for this, or not enough metal for this one, but we're going to give it a try anyway. I think it'll be a prettier bar. That's the one we're going to end up going with, guys. I think we're going to redo that Kit Kat, or we might just leave it, just do 3 different. Once again, we got a tiny little bead of silver, our last little blowout piece. Not too shabby. So I think that's what we're going to do. I think we'll do another one of those. Let me shut this heater down. We don't need it no more. Stick this in here till we're ready for it. Keep it hot. And we're going to go ahead and do one more. Go ahead and do this last one. Ooh. There's our silver. Let's go ahead and fire this up while everything's hot. Keep rolling. Alrighty, so we have it, guys. We've got our 3 little bars poured. I think I am actually going to keep that Kit Kat just because it's different. So we'll set this in here to cool with the rest of everything else. Let's get our little bars out and see what they look like. So this was our first one. This was our Kit Kat pour. Got a little bit of borax on it, but anyway, this was our Kit Kat pour. So we can see, I mean, it's not too bad. Very hard to pour those though, especially small. Anything small is hard to pour. This was our second pour, which I have to drop them in the pickle pot. This mold was actually better suited for a 1/2 ounce of silver. So there is that one. I don't know if it's gonna, but we will get them cleaned up and marked. And then this is actually our third one, which came out very nice. So yeah, that little mold is much better suited to a 1/2 ounce of silver, even than that Kit Kat is. You know, sometimes you actually have to have a little bit more metal, but anyway, that was pour number 1, pour number 2, and the third pour. So those are courtesy of Mr. C. They will be marked. Mr. C, one of 3, 2 of 3, and 3 of 3. So that's how those guys will be marked. I'm going to put them right there. And I'm not going to put you through the polishing process. I'll show you everything when they're all said and done. So I'm going to let this stuff cool off, and I'm going to get inside and get to working on these bars. So we'll be back at you in a little bit. Okay guys, we got them out of the pickle pot. Our Kit Kat didn't turn out too bad. I mean, the bottom is rough because that mold is, you know, pitted, but it really didn't turn out too bad. So that was our first pour. This was our second pour, which was in the mold that I usually use for 20 grams, but they actually filled and came out pretty decent, so they're usable. They look pretty good. So this one we actually had to melt twice, so I know we've lost a little bit here. So that actually weighs 0.491 troy ounces. So we got 0.491. So we'll be marking that 1.49. This is the one we had a little BB roll off of. That one is actually 0.499. So we are 1/100th of a troy ounce off of an exact half. And this was the one we did, the last one, and that one is 0.509. So that is actually almost a perfect half-ounce bar. So I'm going to go ahead and get the stamps out, get these marked up, get them polished up, and we'll show them to you when they're all polished up. You guys have seen me mark stuff before, so I'm not going to put you through that, time lapse or not. And we'll be back at you in just a few minutes. Well, okay guys, here they are. They are all done. All marked up and polished. This one is, I actually dated them, silver content. This one is numbered Mr. C, 1 of 1. I didn't do 1 of 1, 1 of 2, 1 of 3 because they are actually different type of bars. And this one is marked 0.49 troy ounces. So that is actually a 1 of 1. And this is a 1 of 2 Mr. C. This is 0.49 troy ounces. So we did lose a little bit, and this one we actually got dead on a half. So, and this is marked Mr. C, 2 of 2. So we have 1 of 1, 1 of 2, and 2 of 2. So there they are, guys, all finished up. I'll take some pictures of them, put them at the end of the video so you can get a better look at them. But thank you, Mr. C, and congrats to whoever ends up winning one of these. This is not going to be all of the giveaway. This is just part of it. But I wanted to go ahead and, like I said, start working on it, so that when it gets here, I'm not doing it behind like I always end up doing. Alrighty guys, so there they are, and we'll get back at you in the next video. Have a good one.